I don't know what we can talk about in this nation without talking about white superiority, honestly.
Who defines the meaning of God also defines the relationship between economy and God.
African Americans spent $1.3 trillion last year, making us the 16th wealthiest nation in the world. Why have we not turned those riches into wealth to develop our community?
Embark on the transformative HAPI 2024 tour and witness the remarkable evolution of economics, from the cultivation of crops to the dynamic world of stocks. Immerse yourself in the birthplace of commerce as we unveil the ingenious minds behind the first elaborate economic plans. Join us in Egypt from February 16th to the 25th, 2024 to experience this awe-inspiring journey where you will see and learn about innovations in agriculture, marvel at the grand structures like the pyramids and the great temples, symbols of wealth and economic prowess in ancient Egypt. Experience the enchantment of Egypt with a chartered Nile cruise exclusively for our group. At the pinnacle of our tour, you will be granted access to the prestigious HAPI Dinner Gala, where you can network with fellow travelers, scholars, and enthusiasts. Enjoy a night of opulence and culture as we unite to shape a prosperous future. Book now and join HAPI on our economic tour of Egypt.
Peace, family. Peace, 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 family. It's so nice to be on air tonight, but extra special to be on air with Professor Small. You guys know how I feel about this little brown man right here. And so I'm so happy that he is able to kind of come on and give everybody an update, because I tell you, that damn Facebook post he posted, sent everybody in a tizzy. I tell you, including me. I was like, wait, what? And then phone calls and text messages, everybody sending, their beautiful wishes and trying to figure out what's going on with Professor. So I'm so happy. And I know you guys are ecstatic to see him on tonight. So just a quick couple of things. Family, if you could just like and share this video, and please make sure that you are subscribed to our newsletter, all that good stuff. Peace to Mildred. And, I'm seeing some old heads I ain't seen in a while. Miss Sequoia, that's our girl. I will never forget Sequoia, because she took a couple of trains from California to come to our Power and Unity conference in Detroit. So I'm like, that's what's up. I see Lucio is in the house. Sakara, Rashamela. It's nice to see you guys. Yes. So glad. Yes, you are. Yes, Professor Small. Yes. So, listen, without further ado, I'm going to bring in Professor. Hey, Professor.
Hi, good evening.
So
people
listen.
are getting to see me with my hair. I'm growing my hair back because I'm actually studying my body, because I'm going through this whole physical thing. Now, what occurred, I just want people to know, this wasn't something new. I've been battling with the prostate issue since 1985. I've just kind of carried it well, you might say. But as you get older, you can't really handle some of the things as well as you did when you were younger. And I do plan to do a piece with some of the brothers in my age group, because I was shocked when I've been talking about the prostate for years, but nobody's come back at me with it. One or two people. But when I went and showed myself in the hospital, I was shocked that most of my friends, brothers I know like this, I'm not going to call their names online at this point, but many of them have either had prostate surgery, prostate cancer, going through the prostate, enlarged prostate. 10 out of, say, 15 of my closest people. And I goes, how come nobody said nothing? Why aren't we talking about this? Why aren't we telling younger men, you need to look for these signs? This started with me when I was 40-something. I'm 78. So that's a long time to battle something. And they didn't have a lot of treatment 40 years ago, 30 years ago. They are just beginning to come up with treatments now that make sense, that doesn't leave you crippled or debilitated or incontinent and so forth. And they've got some really positive treatments going on, and I'm actually preparing myself now for a particular procedure called embolism cauterization, where they're gonna go, because your prostate is supposed to be this big, like a walnut. Mine is as big as a grapefruit. So what it does, it pushes up against your bladder and it cuts off your ability to urinate. And it also, if you try, like I'm an active person, I'm a martial artist. I go to the dojo, I go to the gym, but when I use the muscles in that part of my body, it again force that big prostate up against my bladder and cause hemorrhaging. So I've been going through the hemorrhaging thing for like 30 something years, right? Trying to figure it out. But what shocked me was so many people who were close to me who have been dead quiet have been going through the same thing. And part of it is that decades ago, men were dying younger, usually between 63, 68. So the prostate doesn't go really crazy until about 70. So the pharmaceutical industry could make no money off of that. So they wasn't dealing with it. Now men are living in their 80s. And now prostate is a major issue in the medical industry. Now they're putting money and research into it. But I remember when I first started going through it, the doctors would tell me, Small, you actually know more about this thing than we do. And the only thing we can do for you is help you monitor it, give you antibiotics, you know, and kind of like keep you where you can function. But short of having major surgery and removing it, and maybe you have to wear a urine bag for the rest of your life, at that point, they couldn't do much for me. Now, and 40 years later, they've got many, many possibilities to help ameliorate the situation without you losing the essence of your life. You know? But the key thing is learning the signs, the early warning signs that we don't pay attention to, or we take for something else, and then go see a physician and try to find a good urologist that you can work with. And always ask, I call it ask the 10,000 questions. Don't just say yes, yes, yes. Ask the 10,000 questions. What is this? Why is this? And get on that computer and look up everything. So you know what's going on with your body. Always work, because healthiness is a big part of spirituality. You know? So I'd say staying healthy is the better part of spirituality. Staying physically healthy. Because if the God don't have a house to live in, you don't have a God. You know? So we really gotta look at, if this is the temple and this is the house where the divine resides, and you pollute it and poison it and make it so toxic that the energy that we call the divine can reside, you're just an organism in confusion. So we really need to get a handle on that. And it's not just the prostate, that just happened to be the big thing with me, but almost any other thing that's happening to us, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, those are the other two biggies in our community, and the high blood pressure and the kidney. So many brothers are going into kidney failures, but you can link the kidney failure to the high blood pressure and to the type 2 diabetes, you know? And when you combine them, the prostate situation in Black men, the high blood pressure at the high rate in Black men, the diabetes, then you throw in the heart attack, you throw in the stroke, and we got a problem, as we see. But if you come back to diet, you know, diet is a major part. Even the government is now saying that diet is a medicine, that the food you eat is medicine. Once they wouldn't even think of making a statement like that. But the food you eat is your first medical medicine. That's your first pharmacology. But we didn't know that. The culture didn't teach us that. The culture just say, eat what tastes good, eat what looks good. And we learn we have to eat what is good, you know. And then you got the exercise, of course, that comes in if we want to make the whole person. And African culture was literally, an African, what we call spirituality, which is African reality, was literally built around being healthy and staying healthy, maintaining optimal health. And this had to do primarily with what we ate and what we did. You know, yes, pumpkin seeds is one of those things we can use, someone just raised, but there's multiple things you can use. But the biggest thing is paying attention to your body. Know your body. Don't wait until you fall down in the street and somebody wake you up smelling salts and the stethoscope is on your chest before you realize you got a problem. Okay? Know when you wake up in the morning, something don't feel right. Know when it's midday, I'm not feeling in my harmony, in my balance. Know when it's time to go to bed. Know how you pee. Actually, know how your pee smell. I actually think this is crazy. I smell my poop and I smell my pee every day. Been doing it for years. Look at the color of it. There's a certain color that your waste product should have. All of these things we need to learn and study on ourselves to know ourselves. And you'll find that you stay healthy. Now, I'm going to have that procedure, and the reason I can have this procedure, which seems to be the best one out there, is because I'm physically very healthy. And the doctor made a point of that you're a good candidate for this because your muscle structure is still in good shape. Your heart rate, your blood pressure, all these things are good. So you can go 3 hours, because it's a 3-hour-long procedure, even though I won't be under anesthesia. I have to lie on this table for 3 hours doing nothing but staying still while they put a stent through my wrist that will go to my groin. Your wife said, you be telling too much. No, I'm letting you know what it really is. Now, had you seen me 4 weeks ago, you would think brother had 1 foot in the cemetery, and I really did. And one on this side. You know, it was really bad. Things had gone really bad. And my ancestors and people praying and people pouring libation flipped the script, because they weren't going to let me out of the hospital when they did. After 10 days, I was begging to take these wires out of me, take the tubes out, you go home. They said, we can't do that. There's all the reasons. And I kept getting calls all through the night. And one of my special friends, a brother I love very much, Nana Kwame Ketsia V, the king of Esukado in Ghana, Western region, called and said, Prof, you know, as a king, I don't pour libation. My priests pour libation. But I got up in the middle of the night because it's you. And I went to the ancestors and I poured libation. 7:30 the next morning, and I know it wasn't just Nanas, but all the thousands of people who were setting this energy. He comes in the next morning and says, I'm taking the tubes out and you're going home. I said, but yesterday you said, he said, oh, don't worry about that. I'm taking it out. Once you show me you can urinate, then you can go home. It took about 6 hours to go through the process. But I came home and I feel better than I did before I got sick. That wasn't, the medicine intervention helped. But energy of love, energy of caring, energy, I never felt nothing like it in my life. I felt the force of love at a level I'd never felt it before. I felt the force of people saying, you get better. Of people saying, I'm talking to the ancestors for you. And there was one point, I was in a room with 2 beds, you know, with the curtain thing, but there was no one next door. But for about 3 days, there was some people there. I couldn't see them. I know they were there. I could even hear them whispering. And I began to talk to them. I said, okay, y'all came for me? Cool, let's go. And if y'all didn't come for me, then y'all send me home. Or tell me who you are. Is this Mama? Is this Nang? I'm calling all these different names. But I knew there was this group of people behind the curtain. And it was real. You know, we come on the shows, we talk about spirituality, we talk about the energy of spirit, we talk about the energy of libation and prayer and ashe. Trust me, it is absolutely real. Anybody who saw me in that hospital and see me now know, like, there was a whole leap, quantum leap, from that space to this space.
Dang, I mean, Professor, you just came in talking.
Yeah,
we didn't have a chance.
People gotta really know the truth.
Yes.
We talk about it. We talk about spirituality. We talk about eating right. We talk about staying healthy. We talk about eating the right foods, doing the right herbalism. But we're not really practicing it as a group. A few of us are practicing it.
Yeah.
But the group isn't understanding healthiness is African culture. That is the foundation of African spirituality. Spirituality is your reality. You've heard me say that over and over. You are your ancestors. Don't just say those things as cliche. Those things is real. You see all those people behind me? That's my ancestral shrine. That's my hoodie boys and girls right there.
Yes.
Right? They roll with me in everything I do. And the ones to the side over here, that's Oya, and that's Shango, you know, and there are others. But they're not just wood or photographs. Those are images of bodies of energy that lives within me. And those are the symbols I look to stimulate that energy of the divine that is in me. That energy that was me when I was the one who has become an ancestor, that's still in me. So we have to really get serious. And it comes to why you go to Kemet. If I had my druthers, I would not go to Kemet. He said, what are you saying, Small? It has nothing to do with the fighting that's going on in Palestine. Because I just don't like people who are rude and nasty, like some of the Arabs. But then we have to stop and say, wait a minute, that's our house that they are occupying. Those are the tombs of our ancestors. They can call it Egyptology. No, it's grave robbing. They're robbing the graves of our ancestors. And they're stealing the wealth they find in the graves, and then using the very bodies and bones and skin and hair of our ancestors to enrich themselves while hating us at the same time. And we can't let them get away with that. And that's why we got to go to Kemet. We got to go to Kemet to tell the ancestors, we got your back. We can't stop this physical thing, but we got your back. We are your children. We are you. Here we are. They could say what they want, do what they want. But we got on that plane and we flew that 10 or 11 hours, and we're here in the land that you built. And we're looking at your coffins, and we're looking at your mummies, which is actually your bodies that you used to live in. And we're telling you, we love you enough to come and let you know we're never going to let you go. We're never going to let them take you away from us. No matter how much they pretend that you are they, we know we are you. And that's why we got to go to Kemet as often as we can, as many of us as we can, and proclaim our right to our ancestors' bones, our right to our ancestors' images, our right to the smell of our ancestors you smell in the tombs, and when you go in the temples, you smell them. They're there. And they have to know that we didn't go anywhere. Yeah, they drove us out of Kemet. They drove us through the Congo. They drove us into Ghana and Nigeria. And they put us on ships. And they brought us to America and Central and South America and the Caribbean. And you know what? We showed them how to build an airplane so they could bring us back to Kemet. So we could say, yo, what's up? We're home again. With all the technology they used to bring us here, we gave them that technology from your mind. The eternal love.
The eternal love.
Self, you know?
Yeah. I know I'm sure I speak for everybody on this live and who will look at this, is that first of all, I'm just so happy to see you. And, just your voice, you sound so much better,
I am.
and yeah, and I remember when I was talking to you and you said, before I could say anything, you was like, I feel all the love. I'm feeling it. It's going to help me get better. And I just remember thinking, a lot of times people, and just like you're not naming names, you don't need to name names, but a lot of times people write books and they say things, and they're like, oh, you should do this and you should do that, but they're not actually not doing those things, right? But, Professor Small has been talking about African sacred sciences for a long time. And in this moment where, I'm listening to his little voice crack and I'm like, oh my God, and he's, talking about it. He was like, he's African, it's our African sacred sciences. It's, I feel the energy from everybody. I feel it. And he's like, and I'm going to get better. And I'm telling you, like, this is, so, people say what they want to, but one thing I can say about you, Professor, is you a man of your word. You say what you mean and you mean what you say. So I really appreciate you for that. And I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy to see you.
I'm happy to see you. I was just wondering, what color lipstick is that y'all going to wear tonight?
I only wear red. It's like, and because why? Because when I was younger, I wanted to wear red, but my mom said only hussies wore red. And I was like, what's a hussy? I mean, it was years ago.
Well, that's what Mom hadn't seen the images in Kemet. And she realized we were wearing red lipstick all the way back in Kemet.
Exactly. I tell you. And this red lipstick is actually made by a Black woman, Lip Bar, out of Detroit. What's up? What up, Doe? This is made, from a Black woman. So that makes it even extra special. But man, I'm happy you good. And we are going to do that show where you're going to get more men to kind of talk about this stuff in more detail. But if this isn't if people don't understand African sacred sciences now, I don't know what to tell you. So, it's interesting you're talking about, going over there. And I know you said something last time, and I know you don't remember it because every time you come on here, Spirit starts talking through you. You don't remember the things that you sometimes say, but you talked about the reasons why we should be going there. As for our self-development, but also, you said how we bring pieces of us and we leave it there for them.
That's a very important piece because they just explain that they mean the ancestors and the divine. Explain that to me this summer because I went to Ghana with my ailment, had the thing that happened to me 3 weeks after I returned from Ghana happen in Ghana, I wouldn't be here probably. But I said I had been away from home for 3 years. That is the longest I'd been away from Africa in 40 years. So I had to go home. I needed to go home badly. So I went to the hospital and I asked them, actually 2 weeks before I went to Ghana, I was in the hospital with a catheter in. And I asked them, I said, listen, I'm going to Africa. And they were saying, well, we don't recommend that. And I go, no, I'm going to Africa because I've been away too long. So I said, could you give me some catheters? They gave me 8 catheters, the part that you enter into yourself, so that if I got any blockage, I could unblock myself. And I didn't really trust myself, so I called the tour guy on the ground, my tour operator, and it says, here's all the towns we're going to. Could you find a clinic in that town? Okay. And let them know I will be visiting that town, and here's what my condition is. And if I get into a critical situation, could I count on being able to call that doctor or that nurse and they could service me? That's what I had to do to go to Ghana. But for those 14 days, and there was a beautiful young lady who was my assistant, and she literally, her spirit literally carried me. I don't have her permission to put her name out here, but I'm sure she's watching the show tonight. But sometimes we don't know how to recognize angels. Because I didn't even know she was going or was able to go because she's a college student, until a few days before we were to go. And I get a call saying, there's a young lady who says she want to go on this trip. This is Sister Sharifa, and she having trouble with her visa. Would you go to the Ghana embassy and see what you can do? And I knew when I pull up on the cover exactly who's going to be standing there. But that spirit who set up my page so that each day we could tell people what we're doing. Everybody could pick up their phone and know what time we were to be up, where we were going, what we were doing that day. If you have any questions, any issues, send it to this page and Sister T would take care of it. And she just ran all of that part of the tour for me, took all that stress up off of me, right? But just knowing that the thing we talk about when we say African spirituality is really real. But you have to know that it's really real. I don't think she realized she was an angel. I don't even think she realized she was going to go to Egypt 3 weeks before, to Africa 3 weeks before. But there she was on her first trip home in 400 years, right? And the piece that Sister Felicia was talking about, that the ancestors explained and broke it down, each time we go to the continent, we take some of the ones that was brought over on the slave ship back home. We take their spirit back home, and they're done with this. So you're not just taking you back home. You're taking a bunch of people in your genetic cluster that you call ancestors, who was put through the genocide of the so-called transatlantic slave trade and chattel slavery genocide. All that pain, all that suffering, centuries after century, when you fill that suitcase and you get that passport and you strap on that mindset and go back home, you take all them back with you. Take them and leave them there. We don't even know we're doing that. But if you look at the degree to which we've been returning, and at the degree to which consciousness have rose its head across the continent, you'll see what I mean. Because you brought the ones that know the devil back home. Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X was not wrong, people. Don't get it twisted. They were not wrong. The ones who went through the genocide no longer have bodies, but they can ride you back home. Anybody ever seen the movie Sankofa?
What?
When the elder is killed, you know.
Haile Garima.
He flew back home.
Yeah.
And so when we go back to Kemet, we are taking thousands of ancestors who was forced to leave home. We are taking them back and depositing them back home. And those spirits will fight for us. Somebody says, oh, that sounds like religion. Show me an atom, okay? You may not be able to see it, but it will blow your ass to kingdom come, all right? If you split it, right? Something that you cannot even see. An aspect of your energy that you cannot even see. If you crack it, it will destroy everything in its path. A little atom. You can't see it with your eyes. So don't tell me about energy. Don't tell me about my mama back there, Miss Lucille, or Mad Hope, or my pigeon, or Pat Joe, or Papa Andrew, or Uncle Peter. Those are clusters of energy, like an atom. And we take them back home. And the curiosity of those at home, when they feel that new energy, how breaks them open. And they're like an atomic explosion in terms of consciousness, growing on the continent of Africa, growing in Nigeria, growing in Mali, growing in Burkina Faso, growing in Chad, growing in Central African Republic, growing in Congo, growing in South Africa, growing in Zimbabwe, you know, growing in Benin. I talk to people from all these countries all week long. And all they talk about is loving us. They're just beginning to understand what happened to us. Most people in Africa don't even know the transatlantic slave trade took place.
I know. I
They
know.
just know in history something terrible happened to their people.
Mm.
They know in history something terrible took their people away. But they don't know the story. That's our job, to tell the story.
To tell the story.
It is our job to put mama on your shoulder, papa on your shoulder, get on Delta, kick back, a little sip of Cavassier, and go to hell on home. And
Not the Cavassier.
Oh yeah, you know, so you can sleep well, you know.
You can sleep well.
And take them back home to Africa.
And take, yes.
You know, and let them spread their wings. Let them smell the air. Just let them just smell the perspiration of the brother who's pulling the fishing net. You have no idea how sweet that is. Embrace a woman in the marketplace who ain't got on no kind of deodorant, and smell the heavens deodorant that comes from the aroma of her body while you're embracing her in the marketplace. That's heaven. That's when you know you're home. When they hand you the fork, set the fork down and grab that fufu and stick it in that fish stew and make the proper twist and eat it with your hands. That's when you know you're back home.
So, thank you, Professor. Just to kind of give some more information, or just actually not give information, but kind of add on. So we had a trip. Well, we not had a trip. We still have a trip planned for February, the 16th through the 25th, but it actually sold out. And so, you know, Taki and I, because we have more people, that was like a few more seats. And when I say we have a few more seats, we have a few more seats left. So we actually have another trip that's a tad bit cheaper, because you're there. We're going for 10 days, but this trip would leave a day later and come back a day early. Still, you have, you know, it will be part of the gala. You get all the economic workshops, but it works out because of, you know, there's just not like, I guess everybody's coming to Egypt because things are just selling out and selling out. So we've been able to get these last bit of tickets, air tickets to go. So family, and let me, I'm going to share it with you right there. So these are the new dates for the new trip, right there, February 17th through the 24th. And we're doing all the same things, like I said. You know, you'll be seeing the pyramids, Valley of Kings, the Temple of Queen Hatshepsut. So there's so much more, and it includes the 4-day trip up the Nile. And we have our own ship. And so that's going to be super cool. But, you know, now that, I don't know, like since you first came on, Professor, and you was talking about this investment in yourself, I've only been able to look at this. Like, this is the economic tour, right? And we're going to be talking about how economics, and not just talking about where economics started, but showing you where and how it started. And then also continuing that as we're, having classes and workshops that are not just ones where we're just going to kind of sort of talk about some stuff, but really get in there and make this not only a networking event with everybody that's coming, but also, leaving with some tangible tools and some tangible things, right? Because this economic piece is real. But and so I've only been able to look at this as like just like an honor, and not only an honor, but I almost feel like it's a duty for me to do that. So I
wanted to say
Thank
something
you,
else. I know people are concerned about the crises with the people of Palestine, and the genocide that's being wreaked against the people of Palestine by America and Israel and Britain and NATO, because they're all involved. I served in the American military in the U.S. Navy. I was stationed in Turkey, in Italy, in Spain. I'd never seen America send two major aircraft flotilla into the Mediterranean at one time, plus a third force in the Indian Ocean, totally unprecedented, because it is America's interests that's at stake. And what's happening to the Palestinian people in Gaza is open genocide. It is something someone wanted to do. I'm even of the mind that what Hamas was allowed to do on the 7th was allowed to happen to give excuse for what is now happening. And I won't go any further with that. But I stand with justice and right. I got sense enough to know when you kill 7,000 to 8,000 people and 75% is women and children, I know that that's a war crime and that is genocide. And you can use your news network to say whatever you want. For those of us who stand on the truth of Africa and the truth of godliness, we must be very clear. The other thing that we must be clear about, from the Gaza border to Cairo, Egypt, is close to 1,000 miles. It's 1,200 and something kilometers. I think it's about 800 plus miles. It does. You won't even know this is going on, really. It's almost like being in New York and watching stuff going on in California. So it's nothing that would interfere physically with your being in Egypt. And it's good to study geography and these things with the Googling, and it's so easy in the maps to do today so that you don't operate on the fear that European media throws out there at you. Because we got the tools now. Social media, some people may laugh at it, but social media have given the common man and woman a technology that's over and above anything they've had access to in the annals of history in order to compete with what goes into their minds versus just being funneled into by the ruling elite. And so I tell you, do your research. And Malcolm said, the secret to life is to have no fear. The secret to life is to have no fear. Dessalines said, you should live life like it's freedom or death. Either give me freedom or kill me, because I'm not living life no other way. I've only lived life that way all of my life. It may give my heart a little extra beat, you know what I'm saying? So I got a rhythm. I was at my cardiologist today doing my checkup, and he says, did you hear that, Jay? Did you hear that? And I said, yeah, I heard it. You know, they do a 12 beat sequence in your heart, 12 beats, 12 beats, 12 beats. That thing you see going across the screen on your EKG. Well, when you get to between my 10 and 11, I got an extra whole beat that just shoots up there. I have no idea. It's African drum rhythm.
He's an African drum rhythm. I like that.
Last week, I went and had acupuncture, which has helped me a lot. With a
you know what? Wait. Yeah, let's talk about that little acupuncture. Let me tell you something. I meant to talk to you about this. I had to get myself together because that's the day I called you. You know, and like, listen, I know everybody has elders in their family. You call somebody and you're like, okay, you don't hear from a couple hours and you call them back. I called you like 6 times that day. Yeah. And you could even send a text and just say, I'm blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening to the professor? And then when you called me, I just had to be like acting like it was okay, because I can't make, if you're already stressed out, I can't make you extra stressed out. I'm just going to tell you, some of these little tactics that you've been using have really been messing with people's heart. The picture on Facebook, okay?
But I wanted to just tell people the truth. I wanted them to hear it from me. I didn't want them to play with it. You know,
we saw this picture. We didn't hear it from you. We saw this picture, and I was like, "Oh my God!" You know, King Simon called me. Everybody, Axel from UK.
I was literally in trouble. And I was like telling my friends, I said, okay, what do we have? We have this medium. Because, you know, I don't do much of myself on Facebook. But I tried to send a message. That didn't work. I said, well, let me just do something with my camera and then send it to my Facebook, right? And I want folks to see I am in trouble. Now, if I'm going to get out of trouble, y'all going to have to get involved and help me. It was as simple as that. That's what I was saying. That was me not hiding anything. I wanted y'all to know I'm in trouble. Okay.
So,
and let me tell you how much trouble I was in. So people don't think it's too graphic. I had a big tube stuck in my penis. I had 2 5-gallon things of water hanging up over my bed, pumping out the blood out of my bladder. I had IV on this hand, pumping in some medicine, and IV on this hand, pumping some other stuff. And I was taking it seemed like every 3 hours, a bunch of pills. I had never taken that much medicine in my life. And so I knew, okay, and I'm laying there. I can't go nowhere with another bag hanging down at the bed that's draining all this gook out of me. And every 5 hours or so, a doctor coming in with a big syringe, this long, that big around, and pumping out all of this blood clot that had built up in me over months. I didn't know I was bleeding inside. And so it was just clotting and clotting. And sometimes some would break and come out. But for the most part, it was still in there. And he actually cleared my bladder and almost a basin full of just blood clot. I'm sitting there like, this don't look good.
You said that.
Some people, this does not look good, right?
But you know what?
So,
well, listen, Professor, you could just call one of us. And it's like you call one of us, you know what to do. Because between me, King Simon, Taki, oh God, what's the other brother's name? Oh God, I'm looking right at his face. I can't remember his name. We could get the word out, okay? Because the little picture, I wanted
it to be from me. I wanted it to be crystal clear. I am in trouble. I am in trouble.
We got it.
My family was there. My wife was there. The kids was there. My cousins came. But I know that my family is bigger than just my nuclear.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
around the world.
That's this way I could get a word to Brazil. I sent it from people from Brazil and the UK and Holland and Ghana and Zimbabwe and South Africa and New York and Brooklyn. So everybody heard that I was in trouble. And what I needed is your spirit. I want to say, if we say the spirit, either the shit is real or it's not. But trust me, it is absolutely real.
Absolutely.
The power of spirit overrode the technology of medicine, in my case. Right. Yeah. And I can actually pee better now than I peed in 6 years. I don't know. Other than that energy, and then the 88-year-old Chinese lady who gave me acupuncture. I'd never had that many needles from my toes to my ears. She had about 20 just around the groin area. And then she heard my palpitation, that one beat, and she got very scared. But I told her it's all right. But I heard her telling Brother Ezekiel, Brother Charles, one of my godsons, he says, you tell your father you need to go to an American doctor to see about this heart thing. Because she kept hearing that extra beat. But I've had that extra beat since I'm a child, really late teen. And it's a trauma. It comes from trauma. Some people try to take me out. I was 17. A whole Ku Klux Klan thing, a whole nother story we get to someday, one day. And I survived it. But your heart records everything. And that's why in Kemet, when we look at Ma'at on the scale, they use the heart because the heart records everything that happens to you. It's recorded in your heart. And so we need to pay more attention to what the ancestors was trying to tell us. And so I learned to manage this thing. Sometimes it can even go away. Only when I remember the stress, even if I don't remember the occasion, I remember the motif of the stress produced, then I get that beat, I get that rhythm, because I had more than one occasion of near death or in death experience. Yeah, well, I've been in the movement since I'm 14 years old, front line and center. All right, beat up, police with pistols in your mouth, getting,
I can't. You know what? And I know I can't. When you tell me these stories, I can't take these
But
stories.
I'm just trying to let people know that when you live this life, it's not like, people see you now and go like, yeah, but so small. No, but I was just out there as another black kid in his hood trying to fight back. That's all we were. That's what Asada didn't want to be Asada Shakur. Asada was just a kid, a teenager. Her husband Zayd was just a kid. We were just young black kids fighting back. I've been blessed that I've lived long enough to tell my story and teach you some of the knowledge that I retained.
And thank you.
And so we bring that back to Kemet. That's why Kemet becomes so important. The ancestors must have known that we would be in a situation where we would lose access to the wisdom. So they chiseled it in stone, knowing one day we would make our way back to Kemet and see the truth and the sacred science chiseled in stone. See their big, thick lips and their big nose and their slanted eyes and their nappy hair. We know that was us then. So learn our wisdom from them now while you can. Go to Kemet. Go with HAPI. Be on the plane on the 17th February to the 24th, 2024. See what it is that we're talking about. When you step off the plane, you smell it. When you fly over and see those pyramids, you know it. There's something different here that has to do with me. And it's all a personal experience. No matter how many people around you, you're going to be having a personal experience with both the divine and with the ancestors. And you'll never be the same ever again. I have never met anybody who made these trips and was ever the same as they were before they went to Kemet.
Yeah. And it's just, it's a grandeur that you can't, we try to tell you about it or whatever, but it's when you get there. And it's not even when you get there, it's when you're flying there and you see the pyramids in the clouds. You're like, oh my God, oh man, it's nice. But it's just nice.
It's about tomorrow. We can't teach our babies and our grandbabies what we don't know.
Yeah.
And we can't know what we don't know until we experience what there is to know.
Yeah.
Well, you've heard me say two things over and over in my lectures. History erases the mystery.
Yeah.
History erases the mystery. And that comes from Dr. Wade Nobles. I innovate on it. But the other one is by a goddess named Zora Neale Hurston. And Zora says, to go there, to be there, you must go there. You can see Kemet in the books, in the museum. But until you go there, you won't be there. But to be there, you must know there. Okay? And to know there, you must have this experience. So you can teach it to your babies and say it's not a myth. We did these things. We conquered nature as a partner and a friend. We didn't destroy nature. We love nature as our mother. We love cosmology as our father. We didn't pollute cosmology nor ecology. We shared ourselves with them.
Yeah.
And they shared themselves with us. And that's real. See, that's what our culture is real. Someone has attacked nature, polluted nature, disrespected nature, have no regard for cosmology or ecology, no regard for the human body itself. And we imitate that for the stimulation and joy we get from some money or some alcohol or some drugs or some sex. And then we get old and wake up and go, oh my God, that was all illusion. And I wasted a whole lifetime in illusions,
Mm.
you know, slanted mirrors, false reflections, when I could have gone to my ancestors in multiple ways, and they would give me the true mirror of myself, to see me and them and me. And Kemet helps you to do this. Even if you're standing in a crowd of 50 people, the dream you're having is different from all of the 50 people in the crowd.
Absolutely. And the information that you're getting. You know what? I just have to say this. Peace to Gene Smith. Gene Smith, we've been trying to get at you. Could you please send us an email so I can talk to you on the phone, please, Gene Smith? Let me tell you, Gene Smith has been supporting us every single show, every single time, all the time. And so we appreciate you, Gene. But I need for you to get at us. Our Google number, or you can just email us. You can email us, Gene. Okay, email us, or you can go to iCat Tours, or the number's right here, is right there, 646-907-8344. And make sure you call one of us, because we've been trying to get at you for a minute now. We don't have any contact information. But yes.
Let me just say this piece, Felicia.
Yes.
HAPI isn't just about a tour.
Exactly.
This is not a tour company. HAPI is about trying to bring about an education for liberation.
Yes.
And looking at economic as being foundational to that process. And going to the Nile Valley gets us an opportunity to see the original blueprint for constructing economic for liberation. We built the civilization with that blueprint for economics. And to try and feed off of that, back in Detroit, back in Chicago, back in Miami, back in Jacksonville, back in Memphis, back in Mobile. That's what we're trying to do, say, take this wisdom, take it back home. How did it work in the Nile Valley? What aspect of it can I put to work in Jacksonville, Florida? What aspect can I put to work in Tampa? What aspect can I put to work in Detroit or Cleveland or Milwaukee that will allow me to put in place the economic politics and culture that would help me free my community?
Yes.
All of us are not going to be Malcolm X or Dr. King, and most of the world will never know our names. But our people will know the action we took as a part of a larger group of people taking action to be free. To be free, we must control the economics, the politics, and the culture where we live. And that's the story HAPI is trying to tell.
Absolutely.
Going through the Nile Valley is a part of telling that story. So I just wanted to have that clear, the clarity of that.
Yeah. No, 100%. The tours, that's part of it. Yeah, a lot of, I think most people, I don't know if people know this or not, so I'll just say it anyway. So a lot of like our framing and direction, but really like, we're doing stuff, Taiki and I over here, and Professor comes along and he's like, oh, you're doing blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, you need to do blah, blah, blah. But it's the way, it's your, it's the, you speak, it's the way that you speak and put things together. We're like, wow, wait, this is an investment in our, in myself. We never thought about it that way, but we think it, and that's why, we do it, and we just want to share it with others. But you have a way of saying it that, that's just really very inspiring. So what can we expect from you, Professor, over the next, like, what do you need for us to do?
I need for people to go to Kemet, reclaim what's ours. We cannot let the enemy take away the essence of our ancestors' efforts to create civilization. We cannot let them take away our ancestors' contribution to giving mathematics to the world, giving medicine to the world. Our children have to say, well, wait a minute, that's my legacy. How dare you take my legacy? If indeed we are the ancestors, that's us laying in those coffins. The time before this time, okay? The time before this time. That's us there. You cannot disprove that. Use any religion you want. Use any science you want. You cannot disprove the fact that you are your ancestors.
Yes.
That is you can't even tamper with that. That being the scientific and the absolute truth, King Tut is you. An aspect of you. Like somebody said, well, wait a minute, let me break this down so people can really understand it. A mother and a father have 20 children. And people say, well, which one is the mother and father? All of them. 20 aspect of the two goes forward. When the two died, the two had replicated themselves in multiple expressions 20 times. So then the two hasn't died, has it? It is 20 times greater than it was when it came as the two. Because the only thing that it could have replicated was themselves. Now multiply that going backwards, and you're back in Kemet, building the pyramids. You know, y'all got that? You know,
Yeah.
if you understand, this is African spirituality on the real. You know, I ain't spooking nothing up. I understand what sacrifices is and rituals. Those are teaching tools for certain kinds of ideas. But the basic reality is I am the universe. There isn't a single element in my body that has not come from the rest of the universe. Okay? There isn't a single mineral in my body that doesn't come from the earth. I am dirt. Every carrot you eat, tomato you eat, beans you eat, greens you eat, is the dirt mixed with sunlight and water. So who am I? I am the earth. When I suck the sunlight, I am cosmology. When I drink the water, I am the essence of the universe. Composed as me. That's African sacred science. We understand it. This fool has taken our sacred science, lied about it, and call it his science on the low, and have us running away from what he calls his science, which is a poor replication and interpretation of our sacred science. And so that's why I love what HAPI was doing from its inception, looking back at the HAPI River, looking back at the Nile, to try and explain to us. My daughter's in there cleaning off.
Yeah, sorry.
That's the cleanest job. I love this. Is my daughter Betsy.
Oh my God, you're alive. I'm sorry, Prof.
And so
We need to see daughter. Let me see daughter.
This is a family shrine. When you walk into this, the kids come in and ring the bell and talk to the ancestors. But you understand what I'm saying?
That's nice.
We've got to understand our sacred science. It is the universe wisdom. When people say, oh, but I'm Yoruba and I practice Ifa. Ifa simply means the wisdom of the universe. In English, if you translate it, if you speak English, your God speaks English. So don't let nobody twist it. Okay? As well, if you don't get back to learning Meta Nature would give us a broader understanding. But you think the universe would not give us a way to understand in whatever language we are listening to? Then you don't understand the divine in you. Because you are the divinity. Yeah. An aspect and an expression of the totality, which is the divinity. And so once we get clear and go like, you know what? I'm not going to Egypt. I'm just going home for a minute. An earlier home before this home. Don't let the white man and his foolishness make you resent America. This is your America. You built it. You have a right to it. You lived here before he ever set foot here. But we also have a right to Kemet. We lived there before he ever set foot there. It's ours. You know? So when you work it all around, it comes to that thing called love. But love isn't sex. Yeah, I know y'all grown. Y'all think, oh, I made love last night. No, you didn't make love. You had sex last night. You only make love when you have sex with someone you love and who love you. Then you make love. But most of us have sex with people who don't love us and who we don't love. So I'm sorry to put that out there like that. But I got to tell you the truth. And so when you get deep into African sacred science and you check out Kemet and you read the literature, because this isn't just about the visual, we left a large body of literature.
Yes.
Pyramid text, the coffin text, all the books that you get to Hussein and see aspects of all the multiple other books. You know what I'm saying? And then you understand, whoa, what are they talking about? Why is that heart on the scale against a feather? They're saying, they're talking about a true love. The heart, it is something that the heart became, even in this culture, the symbol of love, right? Because in the heart is recorded all the deeds of the life of a person. Every emotion, every vibration, every trauma, every thought impacts the rhythm of the heart. And it is all recorded there. And so the ancestors understood this. And so when they want to see who is the being that has now transitioned into the body energy, they weigh it against the feather of truth. That is the lightest thing they know. And that feather will determine, does this get to pass on and become a part of the greater divine, or must it be recycled to be repaired and to try again to perfect itself in the space called life? I don't want to go too far out there, but I am a priest by birth, and I'm taught by many of the angels. I didn't understand first. I just am beginning to understand them and how they teach you. But I know that the things I say, I put up to anybody. Refute them. Bring your science to the table and refute them. And if you think I'm creating something, I'm not creating nothing. I'm repeating what I learned from our history and our ancestry. This has always been us.
It's always been us. It's always been us.
And that's why going to Kemet and look, when you go to Kemet, you're actually looking in a mirror and watching yourself in a time before this time.
Damn. Okay, wait. That's you giving us new stuff. I like that. You're actually looking in the mirror
and seeing yourself.
And seeing yourself. Well,
in a time before this time.
Time before this time. Well, family, listen, like I don't, you know, if you're just tuning in now, I just want to let everybody know that our first trip sold out. Okay, it sold out. And that was our 10-day trip. So we're doing an 8-day trip within the same 10 days. So we'll still all be there together. You're just leaving a day later and coming back a day earlier. And for some people who felt like, you know, they didn't have maybe the price point to make the 10-day cruise, the 8-day cruise, let me tell you, the 8-day cruise is nicely priced. And it includes everything. You just have to get to New York and you're straight. The only thing that you have to pay for is your visa, which is $25, and drinks. And drinks are like 50 cents, 60 cents. Just, you know, it's relatively compared to everything else, but it includes everything, all hotels, the food, entrance fees to everything, tips that we give to the people that's handling us. We have our own security. Like, we're going to be on our own ship. Trust me, family, this is going to be great. And we have the gala. And Mfudishi Juhuti Miss is coming with us. He's one of the, you know how Mfudishi gets down, Professor.
Oh, no, that's my brother. I've known Mfudishi. The only person I think I've known in the living space outside of my family than Mfudishi is Dr. Leonard Jeffries, you know. And Mfudishi is the next one. And one other brother, Brother Starks, who was Malcolm's bodyguard, who took care of me for years, who calls every day to see, are you all right? going into his 90s, but he's still checking on the little brother that he took care of all those years.
Yeah.
I met him in Impedisi around the same time. Impedisi and I, we don't remember each other in the early days, but Impedisi was one of the leaders of the Malcolm's OAA youth cadres. A lot of people don't know that about him. So, he comes out of Malcolm School. Impedisi is one of Malcolm X's children, literally.
Yeah, he's no joke.
So, and to become such a scholar, to become an Impedisi, which is really a title, of his great priest's wisdom, and to learn the language. And of course, we know his family is from
Tanzania.
The people of Tanzania, a large part of them is the royal families of Kemet, who got pushed south by the invasion of the Greeks and the Romans and the Turks and others. So when you're looking at Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya, you're looking at the remnants that left, a large part of the remnants that left the Nile Valley during the periods of invasion. And so his family is one of those families. So it's no science to really understand why he's an Impedisi and why Brother Jehudame could speak the language, teach the language of Medu Neter, know the priestcraft, while at the same time being one of the most well-trained martial arts teacher in the United States. So you're taking a great scholar and a great priest will be there to instruct and to inform the people. So that when you see, and I did all of that, I didn't ask his permission because people hear his name and see him, they don't know what he is. He is a high priest of the craft. He is a wisdom. Read his literature. One of the kings of Ghana, who's my friend, his daughter sent him the books, the one on the war, the spiritual warriors. And he came from Ghana and says, "Do you know this Impedisi?" I said, "Yeah, that's my brother." He said, "I've been reading this book. It's driving me crazy." This is a learned brother in the ancient craft from Africa, acknowledging the wisdom and teaching of Impedisi. And so I tell him I will get a copy, that's autograph of the book, and when I come back to Ghana, I will bring you also an autograph.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
But yes, you will have Baba Impedisi there to be teaching and instructing and informing, both in the language of Medu Neter and in English, so that you can understand. We're going to the crucible, going to Kemet in a way is like going to an earthly heaven. I know since people think in Christian terms, and I could explain Christian terms in a way that it won't be so alien, but I don't want to get people confused. But when you go to Kemet, before Rome had its first Christian church, Kemet opened the first church that could be called Christian. Today they're called the Coptics. And then people try to play them like some Johnny come lately. No, they gave birth to that other stuff. The church in Kemet and the church in Ethiopia is more than 500 to 1,000 years older than the first Catholic Church, and 1,500 years older than Martin Luther Reformation that started the Protestant Church. So whose church is it? But if you don't know your history, you get caught up in the white man's mystery, and you think it's his church, and you'll go get led astray. So history will erase the mystery, and Kemet will give you a light and show you that every story that is significant to the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran has its birth in ancient Kemet or further south in the Nile Valley and into the Rift Valleys and into the Congo and so forth and into South Africa. Long before it manifests in Kemet, it had its birth south of Kemet. And then it manifests itself in Kemet at a zenith, meaning at its highest level of expression. And they left that wisdom chisel in stone for us.
Damn, you said some real good ones, Professor.
Know the truth. Malcolm used to teach us, know the truth. The truth shall set you free. And then he said, make it plain. If the people don't understand, if you can't put it in simplicity, so that people understand the wisdom, you waste their time and your time. So the thing is to take the wisdom and make it plain.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Family. Yeah, like I was saying, I tell you, it's you always leave me speechless sometimes, Professor. Yeah, family. So this is, if you notice, these are different dates. Like I was saying before, we are going, we're leaving a day later. Well, we have a group that's leaving a day later and coming back a day earlier. So it's an 8-day trip, which means it's, a little cheaper than the 10-day trip, which is sold out. And so, and this still includes the,
and you only have to take 1 week off.
You only have to take 1 week.
It fits nicely into the 1 week off.
Yeah.
It's cheaper. Yet you really, even though it's 8 days, you're not missing hardly anything.
No.
And you'll be a part of the group that's going to have the 10-day experience.
Absolutely.
And so
we all still going to be partying on the ship together. We still going to be learning on the ship together.
Let me talk about that, because you're in an environment that you're in control of.
Yeah.
You can determine when your dinner is going to be served, and we're sitting there together having an elegant dinner together. Afterwards, we can go in the lounge, and there's always 5 or 6 DJs on the trip, so they always want to move out the local DJ. But you have everything there for you to have an experience of learning and being in the classroom during the day and walking through and in and out of the great temples and the sacred places. Then at night, coming back to the ship and taking a shower and being in that elegant environment with your brothers and sisters to go over today's experience and to just relax, have a nice glass of wine after dinner, and just have fun with each other, growing, having grown, because there's no way to go there not having grown, even with a 1-day experience, because we're going into the heart of our ancestors. You've got to imagine that they built this extraordinary phenomena that gave light to the entire world. And when the backwards, ignorant barbarians of the world, starting with the Hyksos, invaded our land, we fought back because we wanted to preserve it for now. And then the Hittites invaded our land. We fought back. And then we drove them out. And then they came again. And we fought back. And we drove them out. And then the Assyrians came. And we fought back and drove them out. Then the Assyrians came a second time. Centuries later, we drive them out. Then the Persians came. And we drove them out. Then the Persians came in a greater force a century later. Then the Greeks came, who we thought was our friends because we shared our wisdom with them, and we thought they would assist us in fighting off the Persians. But instead, they flipped on us. Once they had driven the Persian out and realized we didn't have the military wherewithal to take them on because we did not come from a war culture. They came from war cultures. And then they turned on us. And then their brothers, the Roman, would come and turn on them. And that would be followed by the mixed Eurasian groups who we call Arabs and Turks and Kurds. And then they would bring the mixed hordes from Europe, who we would call the Serbs, the people of Herzegovina and all these other Eastern European countries. Those are the people who occupy Kemet today. These are not even Arabs who are occupying and ruling Kemet. Okay? These are Eastern European Slavic people and Turkish people and Kurdish people from the Caucasus Mountain and the remnants of the German hordes left in the Caucasus Mountains from the Ostrogoths and the Visigoths. Yes, they speak Arabic now because Prophet Muhammad, wa alayhi wa salam, al-Amin, who was an African, came with a revolutionary force that we now call Islam and pushed them back. Yeah. That's the 6th century. By the 8th century, they had taken over even that system under Salahuddin. who was both Turkish and European, not even Arab. History will erase the mystery now. You get into the history, the mystery, just walk out the door, okay? And you'll understand what happened to our land. But the system didn't die. If you go to shift over to Northwest Africa, and you'll hear about a people called the Garamantes.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody talks about the Garamantes and the Gudamas. Nobody talks about the Gudamas. The Gudamas and the Garamantes were the Kemetians who got pushed into North Africa. Okay. And you began to call them later in history the Moors. And when you get and when they get pushed back south by the Ostrogoth and the Visigoth, and then the other brothers from Yemen, because most of the Arabs that came to help take Spain came from Yemen, help us take the land back. But we would get pushed again back out of Spain by the 1400s back into Africa. And we became the people of Mali, of Chad, of Central African Republic, of Burkina Faso, okay, of Mali, of Sierra Leone. That's who the Moors are. Don't fool yourself. The Moors didn't disappear in no clouds. And then some slave ships came in another war after the Berlin Conference, or before the Berlin Conference, here comes in the 1400s, and they took those same people from Kemet, who had been forced into Western and Central Africa, and a lot of them was put on slave ships to Central America, into the Caribbean, and to other places. And then they came in the Berlin Conference after 1885 and literally invade our entire continent with every European army financed by American Wall Street. And here we are today trying to dismantle all of that crap called imperialism and colonialism. And part of us making these trips to Kemet with HAPI is a part of that dismantling of imperialism and colonialism at the mental level and the spiritual level.
Yeah.
History erases the mystery.
History erases.
Unless you use your black magic. I love black magic.
Oh, I love black magic too. I love black magic. So you added I tell you, you never say that you never say it the same way. You always add some new stuff on there.
Yeah.
You
they
always
give you new stuff every day. If you just open yourself, the ancestor will give you new pieces of a meal. Like, oh, you like that one? That was tasty. Here, take a little bit more of this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Professor. Listen, you need to get rest.
Mm.
You know you need to get rest because you are always up.
Yeah, I've been going through a lot today.
Yeah.
I tell people, like, we say freedom of death. So I'm going to show you. See, Professor sitting there talking to you, but I'm also wired up to a monitor. My cardiologist to make so they can check what my heart rhythm is through the night. But that's all good. They're going to probably ask, why were you so excited between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock? Well, I was talking to the folks and stuff, right? And
you know what?
Everything is getting recorded in my heart on this thing here.
See, now I'm going to add you to the little, that's you and that little Dr. J. Y'all be doing some little stuff. I'm like, listen, nothing can happen to you guys on my watch because I don't want no one saying, oh, that they was on a little HAPI interview and he passed out. No.
No, HAPI has made a big footprint
yes,
as an educational instrument in the African world. You can talk to people from multiple places and they go like, I heard that on HAPI. I heard that on HAPI. Because you've been an educational medium.
Yeah.
And you brought extraordinary scholarship to the screen, something that the systems organs would not allow us to do. So you've become the new First World Alliance. You've become the new slave theater, So our people, and you're reaching more people than we reached in the First World Alliance. We had seats for 400 people. When we do one show on HAPI, we could reach 1 million people in a couple of weeks, So we've got to use this medium well so that our people can learn history erases the mystery.
Yes.
It's not difficult. When you learn your history, Zora Neale Hurston say, to be there, you have got to go there, but to go there, you must know there.
Yes.
History erases the mystery.
Yes. Yes. Peace to Jesse, and also peace to Michael Imhotep. I saw him in the chat. He wished you a happy solar return.
Thank you, Brother Michael.
And I saw King Simon. Yeah, King Simon was up in here, saying that you look good as well. We're happy to see you.
Thanks, King Simon. When I went into that hospital, King Simon must have lit up the whole world. Everybody was calling. King Simon said you this. King Simon says, "Oh my God, he probably had a phone bill this long." But I thank my brother. I love my brother. We have loved each other as brothers and fought together for many, many years. Brother Phil Valentine, who reached out to me. Oh yeah, Phil. He just, and me and Phil go back. But I was so happy that all the brothers reach out and say, "Hey, brother, we got your hand. Hey, brother, sister's reaching out, mama's reaching out, saying, Brother Small, we here for you. We got you."
Yeah.
And that energy, people, as we started, that energy that you sent to me, that healed me in ways I have not felt healed in years. And I know it was that energy because I felt that energy come into the hospital. I felt it come into my mind and my body, and it's still there. Yeah. Even the doctors are kind of baffled, but they won't say they're baffled. They're just kind of like, going, all right, something going on.
Yes. So family, listen, keep sending the prayers, doing libations, keep doing it. Okay. You can get on to Professor, and listen, if you contact me, me or Taiki, King Simon, any of us, we can always relay messages to Professor Small, but he got IG and he has his Facebook page where he likes to put up pictures on. Okay, you can always get at him right there and send your wishes. It's most important just to keep saying them. Keep saying them. Keep saying them.
And the key thing is love yourself. Love yourself. To love yourself, get to know yourself. One of my beautiful sisters, Amanda, and I'll just leave the name at that, sent me a little clip this morning, and she's saying to sisters, she's saying, I found myself, she says, you can either be bitter or better from your experiences. And she said, having been through rape, having been through sex trafficking, having been through multiple abuse that she went through, she says, I discovered me and I found me. She says, the dreams I never thought I could realize, I realized it. I went back to college. I have a master's degree now. I'm teaching. I'm working with others who went through my similar situation. Just the courage it took for her to put her face there and tell that tiny bit of her story. I've always been proud of her as being one of my students, but to watch her grow and become that powerful, that big.
Wow.
I was just so proud this morning when I got that piece from her because she had wished me happy birthday. So I called to say thank you because I hadn't heard from her for a while. Just an angel that became a divine being through learning and knowing self.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And she said in the end, I didn't get bitter. I just got better.
Just got better. That's what's up.
I didn't get bitter. I just got better. And I got better from knowing me and understanding me and growing me.
Well, we want you to get better. And you are getting better. You sound great. You look good. You look good. You look good.
I'm just trying to be, I've got a beautiful family, the children, my wife, the cousins, my neighbors, everybody has been there. They even had a birthday. I don't like having birthday parties. They had a birthday party and they said, well, we know he doesn't like to eat cakes. So they made a watermelon cake.
Oh, nice.
And surrounded with all kinds of fruits.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, they
Oh.
really did, right? And then stuck some long candles so it would melt the watermelon in there. So I love them. Love my children, love my grandchildren, love my brothers and sisters, my neighbors, my cousins. They've
Nice.
all been like on the spot. I have not been in need of anything. My wife for 53 years, sometimes she'd be like beating me up all the time, but I've never been there in need when she didn't have me by the wrist. So kudos to her as a strong African woman, out of the Caribbean. Because sometimes we say things like we're an African American, we're African, but we're from all over the place. My daughter Betsy, who came into the office a little while ago, she's from Dominican Republic. My wife is born in Aruba, mama from Trinidad, and dad from St. Martin. My oldest son's wife is from Jamaica. So we are an international African conglomerate, the small family, and we need to understand that we African. That's why Africa is the only thing that can describe us as a family.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sister Felicia, and thank you, Brother Taki, and thank the HAPI family for letting me come on and talk to you, and try to remember some of the messages from the ancestors and share with you. But get on the plane. Remember that movie, Get on the Bus?
Yes.
But get on the plane and go to Kemet. From the 17th to the 24th, go to Kemet. Take some of your ancestors back home and deposit them back in their birthplace. They'll love you for it. And that spirit will keep you connected like an umbilical cord to the land of your mother and father ancestors. The land of God itself. When what we call God, the totality of everything, decided to manifest as a butterfly, that wasn't us. But when it decided to manifest as a human being, that was us, a Black woman. And we are all her children. And she was in that land over there. So don't let nobody twist reality for you anymore. Be the truth that you are.
Yeah.
To be there, you got to go there. To go there, you got to know there. To be there, you got to go there. To go there, you got to know there. That's Zora Neale Hurston. And my twist on Wade's piece, history erases the mystery. And you can work your black magic.
And you can work your black magic. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. You can work your black magic. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I've seen a lot of people that's actually traveling with us. Yeah, I see Lori.
I love you,
Tashi.
Brother Kevin.
Yep, Tashi. And Vince, did you see Vince Robinson up in here?
I think I did. Yeah.
Yep.
Agula. It's so good to see Professor Small, African World. We'll be traveling to Kemet. Right on, Mom. Right on.
Coming with us. Yeah, right there. There's Vince.
Here's Vince.
Yes.
Blessed Brother Vince. I saw you earlier, so that's cool. Just have fun being. Enjoy your life. Have fun being. When I went to the continent of Africa this summer, I went knowing that what had put me in the hospital a few weeks later could have put me in the hospital there. But I went knowing that my ancestors weren't going to let that happen. I told people when I came, this is the best trip I ever had going to the continent in 40-something years. They just took care of me. And like I said, they did send an angel or two. Actually had 3. There was a couple from Chicago. They were just angels. And they took care of me the whole trip.
Oh, that's nice. All right, Professor. Thank you. I love you.
Peace and blessings. Love you too. Hotep. And you can say the other peace and blessings for me.
Yes, I'm going to close the show and I'm going to get to say the peace and blessings. I love saying that.
Love everyone. Stay strong. Stay African.
All right. I like that. All right, fam. There you go. Man, I'm so happy that he decided to join us. And he was like, I'm not doing no talking, but I just want to just come on and tell everybody I'm okay. I'm like, all right. I like almost 2 hours later, I tell you, I really appreciate Professor. And thank you guys for showing up and continue sending him love, peace, and blessings. Like really, keep doing that and pouring your libations and keeping him in your heart, because he 100% feels that. And, talking to him, he was overwhelmed with the love energy that he was receiving. So yeah, that's what's up. All right, fam. One last time, we are going to Egypt. The first trip sold out. 10-day excursion is gone, but we have the 8-day excursion now, which is inside of the 10-day excursion. So we're going to leave a day later and come back a day earlier. So it's 8 days, and it's it could be more economical. Well, it is more economical for you to go. You still get the cruise, everything's still included except for your drinks and your visa, which are very nominal. Nominal in pricing. We're going to have a lot of fun, guys. And it's not only fun. And when I say fun, I'm talking about education, meeting and seeing each other. It's always a good, as soon as we get to JFK and everybody's there, it feels good. And, we're there and everyone's like instant family. I don't know how Taki figures this thing out when he puts everybody together, but it's always like a really good feeling. And so you if you can make it happen, it's a beautiful gift to give to yourself over the holidays. And it's going to be very educational, very inspiring. And like Professor said, it is an investment into you, or investment for you. So yeah, there it is, family. And you can always, and I want to thank everybody in the chat. You guys really, showed up for Professor, and we really appreciate that. And thank you for everyone who gave us Cash App love. Like, listen, all these little things that you guys see all goes towards other Black people who are, working alongside HAPI and Enquête Tours. So we really appreciate, it doesn't matter what you send us. We're very appreciative of that. And Jean Smith, make sure you contact us. And it is so good. And Jesse is up late because Jesse is in the UK. So I appreciate you still being here. Kathy Hilliard, thank you. I love that. You were thanking everybody. You're like, thank you too, Felicia. That's what's up. You guys just know this makes myself and Taki love coming on and chatting with you guys. All right. I think that is it, fam. And so, Professor said I could say, I could say the ending, but until next time, family, peace and blessings.
Embark on the transformative HAPI 2024 tour and witness the remarkable evolution of economics, from the cultivation of crops to the dynamic world of stocks. Immerse yourself in the birthplace of commerce as we unveil the ingenious minds behind the first elaborate economic plans. Join us in Egypt from February 16th to the 25th, 2024 to experience this awe-inspiring journey where you will see and learn about innovations in agriculture. Marvel at the grand structures like the pyramids and the great temples, symbols of wealth and economic prowess in ancient Egypt. Experience the enchantment of Egypt with a chartered Nile cruise exclusively for our group. At the pinnacle of our tour, you will be granted access to the prestigious HAPI Dinner Gala, where you can network with fellow travelers, scholars, and enthusiasts. Enjoy a night of opulence and culture as we unite to shape a prosperous future. Book now and join HAPI on our economic tour of Egypt.
I don't know what we can talk about in this nation without talking about white superiority, honestly.
Who defines the meaning of God also defines the relationship between economy and God.
African Americans spent $1.3 trillion last year, making us the 16th wealthiest nation in the world. Why have we not turned those riches into wealth to develop our community?